A cloud. All right, great stuff. Okay, let me pull up a workshop for us. I need to click on the right thing. All right, and Mauricio, am I showing and sharing things appropriately and also audible and stuff?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you so much. All right, thanks, folks. For this workshop here, I'm going to get us started off. We always like to start our meetings with a land acknowledgement to recognize the Nacotchtank and Piscataway people, the first residents of the land that would become the District of Columbia. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We stand on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway people. We pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. All right, welcome everyone. So just a couple of things. This is the General Operating Support Grant Workshop. So as we go through this, I do have some set times where we'll pause and I can take questions. For the courtesy of everyone while we're doing, while we're actively talking, please mute yourselves. But feel free to leave us questions. I'm going to drop a question here in the chat box. You can leave questions there as they come to your. My colleague Mauricio is monitoring the chat as well as just being here for moral support. And he can answer some questions as we go. I will also take the time when we hit those Q&A breaks to try and cover up or catch up on any questions that we have that came through. So any questions that come up, we'll keep an eye on them here. But we do have some time set up for breaks where we can ask questions as we go. All right. So that being said, real quick, just the agenda for today. We've got ourselves a welcome. That's what we're doing right now. We checked one thing off. Good job, everybody. We're going to do a quick overview of the program, talk about any changes for the coming year for fiscal year 26. I'm going to talk a little bit about the application, getting to the application, the narrative questions, scoring criteria, works and support uploads, required documents, and of course, questions along the way. So I do want to mention at the top here, this is for a general operating support FY26 application. If folks are interested in the 2-year funding, I know I have a slide coming up. We do have a town hall about that tomorrow, and we'll answer all the questions about any multi-year funding opportunities tomorrow. We will also record that and try and work through all questions about that since it is new for us. So, okay. So this is our general operating support grant. Just a reminder, this is mostly or should be familiar to most folks here because general operating support is typically our grant that we offer after you've gone through a grant cycle with us. But just as a reminder, general operating support is for organizations that are incorporated as a nonprofit. According to the IRS, we want you to be DC-based organizations and have a primary focus in one or more of the arts and humanities disciplines. If you have questions about whether you qualify for that, you can always reach out to us. We do also have our guide to grants, which has some more information about that. For most general operating support, we do ask that you have received funding from us through one of our competitive grants in either fiscal year 2024 or 2025. We are currently in fiscal year 25, so you would have started your award at the end of 2024 into 2025, or started your grant in the fall of 2023 into 2024. What we mean by a competitive grant, that's going to be projects, events, or festivals, East Arts, either of our education grants, capital projects, public art building communities. This requirement is different if you are applying to the GOS capacity building cohort, and we'll talk about that in a bit. We would like the majority of your organization's activities to occur within the district, and we want all of the dollars that you receive from us, if you are awarded, to support DC personnel and programming. Just some general other things we're going to require for our eligibility, and everything that I'm going to say here is also lined out or laid out in our request for applications, the RFA, so I do encourage everybody to read through that. General regulatory requirements, and then the big one here is the citywide certificate of clean hands. I do have that coming up later on in the presentation where we'll dig into that a bit more. And then be in good standing with us. Primarily what that means is that be up to date on your reports. If you have any questions about any outstanding reports or anything that might be going on right now, reach out to your grant manager. We're always happy to answer those questions. And of course, be located within DC. Okay, so first of my beverage breaks. So application to the GOS grant, you may, with the GOS, apply to some of our other project-based grants. The big thing to remember as you are planning out your cycle of applications is that we don't allow double dipping. So anything that you put in your GOS request cannot be duplicated in another project-based request. So one of the big examples that I've used over the years has been in the GOS application, we ask for a couple of projects that you plan for the year. Let's say that one of your projects is that you are going to host a field trip with DC Public Schools and you intend to serve 100 students with the GOS grant. Great, sounds wonderful. Let me make sure my internet connection is still stable. I got an alert. Still okay? Okay, great. If you then want to later in the year apply for our field trip experiences grant, we cannot duplicate serving those 100 students you already said were in the GOS grant. If you wanted to expand the program and say, we want to bring an extra 25 kids because the demand is high, that would be okay. But when we get there, that's a question for field trip experiences. The big one you cannot duplicate is the projects, events, or festivals grant. So if you receive GOS, you cannot receive PEF. But you may receive capital projects or education or eStarts as we go through. If you have questions about any of those, do please reach out to a grant manager. eStarts and projects, events, or festivals are open right now. Capital projects and our 2 education grants will be opening later in the spring.
Talking your real.
All right. So the big deadlines, the application is open now. It opened on March 11th. It is closing on April 22nd at 10 p.m. Staff will be available until 10 p.m., but at 10:05, I turned my phone off. We just want you to make sure you get those in. Incomplete or late applications may be deemed ineligible. If you run into any problems, technical problems, anything's going wrong, reach out to us early so we can help. Things happen, we understand that, but do please reach out early. Do read through the RFA. Read through it once, read through it twice. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. And then, of course, all applications are reviewed and scored by a panel of artists, and the award amounts vary. Just so you know about the paneling process and the application process, we have 3 categories: generalists, service organizations, and capacity building. Generalists are the vast majority of organizations. Service organizations primarily serve other organizations. You don't necessarily have programming that goes to the wider general public. It's much more based in service to other artists. If you have questions about that, we're happy to talk through it. Finally, capacity building. This is a program we have for small organizations that have not been previously awarded a commission grant. And we are happy to do some outreach on that. We do divide the panel categories into cohorts. This is based on your budget size, and we base that on your total cash expenses from your most recently completed fiscal year, and those cash expenses assigned to district-based activities. The award amounts vary. And the final award is determined by your ranking within your panel. Any questions so far? I know I saw some things popping up in the chat.
I have a very quick question.
Sure.
Let me get myself up here. It's a quick question, but if it's a question that takes a detailed answer, I'm happy to email somebody about it.
Okay.
My organization got a 22 and 23 FAB grant. I was informed by the commission that we weren't eligible for general operating in 24 because we'd gotten those. So we just didn't apply for anything. Are we eligible for this general operating this year?
I'm going to say email me just so we can have a deeper
Right
conversation.
Okay.
I'm inclined to say no.
Okay. I have
but we
the
can
emails
talk about
that said we weren't eligible for because we got the
but
other
we can
one.
also
So
we can also talk about what options are available for you.
Right on. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yeah. And then Noah, I see your hand up. Hey.
Yes, thank you, Carrie. Yeah, I just wanted to reach out. We're actually in the middle of a 2-year GOS, and so I wasn't entirely sure, whether this meeting pertains to us or the one tomorrow. And are we going to be applying through the same portal for the second year for if we're in the middle of a 2-year GOS, or again, will that all be discussed tomorrow then?
That will be partially discussed on an upcoming slide and then mostly discussed tomorrow. The short answer is you will be applying through the same portal and different set of questions, but a lot of similar materials.
Okay, great. And then just one other quick question is you said that the majority of our funding from GOS needs to take place in the district. We are occasionally asked to do run-out concerts in the DMV, and thus far I haven't used GOS funding for that. But are you saying that if there's a small portion, like one concert out of 10 or 15, that it's conceivable that that could be funded through GOS funding if it's in Northern Virginia or Maryland?
Maybe we talk about that. I feel like I want to think about that one a little bit more, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely no problem. I mean, thus far I haven't spent any money out of the district because I thought it was all restricted. But if there's some flexibility that would make some presenters happy across the river.
Yeah,
So,
I understand that.
all right,
Yeah,
thank you.
let's talk about that. And then I see Eric Smith, you've got a hand up.
Yes. How are you today? Thank you.
I'm well. How are you?
No problem. Good. I was just asking. So, we will be a first-time grantee, and we are trying to decide whether we should go after GOS or wait for the field trip grant to be released. And wanted to kind of get your thoughts on the difference of those. And then the other thing that kind of worries us is that we miss this GOS application and then the field trip experience grant comes out or it does not come out. It never actually gets released. So I just wanted to see if, kind of what's your thoughts on that and if we should, if that field trip experience grant will actually come out, all right? Is it in concrete? So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. As of today, right now in this workshop, field trips is happening. I don't have a tentative date. I see your question in there. But it would be coming out later this year in the next couple of months. I would suggest to talk about the programming differences between GOS and field trips, I would reach out to the grant manager for that. That's going to be Andrea Brown. And you can talk over some options with her about what might go into the field trip grant, and that might shift how your GOS grant application would go. You can apply to both. That would be fine.
Okay. And if we receive both, will we get to pick and choose?
Okay. If you receive, you can receive both. It's just we don't want you double dipping on programming. So you might use the GOS funding for a different thing that you do.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
Sure. Ron, I saw that you left a question you had a question, and then
Yeah,
I'll go to
quick
Janice.
question. I wanted to know, can you apply for the GOS and the capital?
Yes, you may.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
What about the field trip as well?
Yep, sure can.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Absolutely. And then Janice, I see your hand up. No?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, how
good.
are you? This is
Good,
our
how are
first
you?
time applying for any grants from the DC Commission Arts
Mhm.
and Humanities, which I did drop my question in the chat.
Oh, okay,
And I
yeah.
thought I heard you say that if this is your first time applying, the general operation grant is not the application that we should apply for, but maybe one of the other ones.
You can apply to GOS. You would be in the capacity building cohort. I sometimes I do recommend a lot of time for first timers. If it's your first time applying to any grant program from us, look at everything that we do. Because it might be that some of our other grants are better suited to what you're doing right now, or something like that. But if it is your first time applying ever, you would be applying to our capacity building cohort, not to our generalists pool. So just something to consider. And then I had a question about, does it make sense to apply for GOS and PEF, and see which one you qualify for? You can. So if your organization is looking at the PEF and the GOS, they are open both right now. You can apply to both. You just may not receive both. And usually the GOS award is higher, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right. Okay, I'm going to keep moving forward. So this is the question about the multi-year funding. I mentioned this at the top. For organizations that had received funding in the current year, FY25, there is now a short application available in the grants portal for multi-year funding. This is really only going to apply to organizations who are currently receiving GOS funding. It's going to remain open until April 22nd, same deadline as the primary application. You do not need to submit a full GOS application for the multi-year funding. We do have this other form up right now. There is a town hall tomorrow where we're going to go over it in greater detail. But if you are interested, if your organization is eligible and interested in the multi-year funding, it's a 2-year grant. We'd pay it out in 4 payments. We're currently in the cycle of sending out the second payments for year 1. Still require reports. And we would aspire to provide the same level of funding, but we cannot guarantee the same level of funding. Our budget is not yet finalized for the coming year. So it's going to depend partly on our coming budget that we receive in part through dedicated tax revenue. And like that. So we're going to try to match it if that's what you opt for. We cannot promise an exact dollar match. Like I said, we're going to talk about it tomorrow more. But for anybody interested in it, you need to have received a GOS grant for a couple of years in our last 5 years and have a demonstrated track record of compliance. We will be checking with everyone and reaching out just to make sure we get it cleared out. There will be a review process, and it is an opt-in, not an automatic. We're not going to just roll folks over. For the coming year, you're going to have to opt in and let us know that's what you want to do. Otherwise, the application just goes in the regular applicant paneling pool like we've always done. Okay. Great. Any questions so far? I did see the question come through. What is the budget amount for multi-year? It's really going to depend on what your current budget is, and the award amounts that you already received. We make our GOS awards based on your budgets. So it's not a set tiered amount of this amount for this award. Those are the other grants. All right. Okay. So I'm going to keep moving forward. So just so everybody knows. Sorry, Vladimir, I see you waving your hand. Oh, you're on mute.
I have a question about the multi-year grant.
Yeah.
We just received funding for general operating support this year, and you mentioned that we can apply for for multi-year grant if we are receiving grant this year. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I got distracted by something.
So yeah, I'm a little bit confused of who can qualify for multi-year grant. It seems that there are two key conditions. Number one is the applicant should currently have received the general operating support, correct?
Yes.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but the applicant also should have received multiple GOS grants. Is that correct?
Yes.
So basically, if this is the first year we receive a GOS grant, we are not going to be eligible to apply for multi-year. We just have to do a regular application. Is that correct?
You do a regular application for this year, and then we're hoping we can continue to offer this. And also, I'm going to ask Mauricio if you could drop the link to the multi-year RFA in the chat, just so folks can get access to it quickly.
Got it.
We'll go from there.
Thank you
Sorry,
so
I
much,
missed
Carrie.
The two qualifications. Can you say that one more time? The two.
You need to be currently receiving GOS, and then you will also need a history of GOS awards with us. And Mauricio is going to drop the RFA for the multi-year in the chat in a moment. And you can, and that will have it also laid out there.
Does it have to be 2 years of GOS, or can it be a different, like an events grant 1 year and then the first year of a GOS grant currently?
I believe it is the GOS. I read through these on Friday, so I'm pretty sure it is GOS that we're looking for.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Okay, I'm going to move forward on the rest of the generalist stuff. And I'm going to have Mauricio be in charge of links because I see stuff coming through. So for folks that are returning, or if you have applied for GOS before, our application review and scoring criteria is the same as it was last year. We have made no changes to the questions we're asking or to what the scoring criteria is based on. So we've got 4 categories: district impact and engagement, equity, organizational management, and arts and humanities, arts education. So district impact and engagement, all of this is also laid out in the RFA, so you can refer back to it at any time. We want to see growth for
Carrie,
equity. Yes.
you froze a bit. Can you repeat the last sentence?
Okay. Oh, I see the little alert. RFA, sorry, I saw a question come through. RFA stands for request for application. And I will and we'll follow through a couple of these questions in a moment here. Did you get the part about, where did I leave off, Mauricio? I'm sorry. Or what was the last thing you heard me say?
Just like start with the slide again. I think you'll be good. I'm looking for the documents.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so district impact and engagement, and then equity. So these are our categories about inclusion, diversity, and access. We want to ensure that organizations are creating and sustaining welcoming and inclusive environments, that these are have a detailed plan for a diverse environment of our organizations, and ensuring multiple levels of access for audiences, participants, staff, and board. Organizational management, we want to see a demonstration of appropriate oversight, financial controls, and governance, and that you have the necessary expertise and personnel in place to deliver services and programming. Then the last category here is arts and humanities and art education content. We want to see some work samples of the work you're doing, the demonstration of your knowledge and skills, and that you've got the right people and personnel in place to plan and implement your programming. Okay, any questions about the criteria so far? if we do, we may not have the RFA, the request for application specifically for the multi-year up yet. It will be up shortly. And Heather, if you want to send me an email just to remind me to send it out to you, I will.
However, there is, sorry to interrupt, there is in the RFA for FY26, there is a section that talks about it and it's highlighted in that document that I just posted it. So you can get some information there as well. And there's a couple of other questions in the chat that I'm trying to answer. Is there a link to the Word document for the GOS application? Carrie, is there a Word document? I don't necessarily think there's a Word document for an application.
We'll get that one up shortly.
Yeah.
I'll get that one up. All right. I think that covers everything for now. Okay, great. Super. Okay, so just a quick review for folks on how to access our application, because I know most folks do this once or twice a year. So just going to go over some of the technical side of things, how to log into our portal, the narrative questions, scoring criteria, work samples, et cetera, et cetera. So from our website, dcarts.dc.gov, if you go to the Programs tab and scroll down to Grants, you will land on our very busy page about our CAH grants. This will list all of our current funding opportunities, which will take you to the RFAs for all of our currently open grants. So that's going to be GOS, projects, events, or festivals, and East Arts right now, and public art building communities. That's public art, so I don't spend as much time with them. We also have on here a lot of resources, including how to get assistance from us, our upcoming workshops and live chats, additional information, and of course, down there in the general grants resources column, the link to our portal. And that's what's here. So when you sign into the grants portal, there's a big green button for sign up today, and underneath that is a smaller sign in link. When you sign in, this is a great time, as a reminder to everyone, to just update your information. Make sure that you've got the right folks attached to your application and to your organization. We know there's staff turnover. We know things happen. We know that places move. Really good time to just make sure you've got the correct address, you've got the right people connected to it, and just take the time to update everything. Just some general good spring cleaning housekeeping to do right now. But when you arrive here, you can click on My Open Applications. This is going to give you the chance to start a new application. And when you click on that new application button, it's going to give you the options of all of our currently open programs. You're going to select the one you want to look at, in this case, general operating support, and you'll answer our eligibility questions, save and continue, and then you'll be in your application. I know some folks are looking for the Word version of the questions. We'll get those out and available shortly. And you can use those to copy and paste and compose your comments on offline and then apply them into the portal. Just so everybody is aware, grant staff is available to review your application materials for compliance and completion up to 1 week prior to the deadline. Once again, the deadline is April 22nd. You need to send a message to us by April 15th. That is 1 week before, so that we can have some time to review and make sure we talk with you. Just so everybody is aware, April 16th, district offices are closed. It is Emancipation Day. We do observe that. So we will be closed on the 16th, but we will be available to offer reviews for compliance and completion in that time before the 22nd. You just want to be on our schedule so that we can do that and give you the time that you deserve. Any questions so far? I didn't see anything really coming through the chat.
Is there, if this is an application applying for GOS again, much will be the same? Not everything, because there's always growth and change. Are you looking at these side by side and wanting to see something really different, or is it okay for us to use some of similar verbiage for parts of it that have not changed?
That's totally fine.
Always
good to do some editing and some, as you say, there's growth, there's change, check in on your stuff, see where you've gone. But we are not looking at them side by side and saying, well, that wasn't good enough or that was great. It's always a different group of panelists as well.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay. All right, I'm going to keep moving forward. So some comments about writing. This is a good point. You may reuse materials if you have parts of prior applications, because this is general operating support that you just feel are great or are still applicable. Totally fine. I do recommend taking some time to revise and assess and take this as a period of reflection for your organization, but also in general, write to the criteria. Try to avoid buzzwords and hyperbole, especially with super specific industry or genre specific words. Not everybody knows what they are, so a little bit of explanation sometimes goes a long way. If claims are made in an application, they should be backed up with support materials and work samples. And it's always a good idea to get somebody outside of your organization or your work to take a look over. It gives a good sense of what's going on. They can ask good questions. What you want in the GOS application is to give a complete picture of your organization and its work. And you want to use any accurate data when it's available and where it is appropriate. There are two big parts to the application. There's a narrative and there's uploads. The narratives are the short answer questions about your programming. We'll ask about your programs, a budget narrative, your IDEA programming, and these are all going to be relatively short statements. The uploads are going to be all of the documents that we're going to ask to have uploaded. A lot of these are going to be financial, and a lot of these, and the other half are really going to be compliance documents. I have a full list here. So balance sheet, clean hands, all of this good stuff. A full list is also available in the request for applications. So for all of our documents, we do ask that they be saved and uploaded as PDFs. It is just the easiest and most stable and secure file format. We do not want zip files or a zip drive, and we can't always open everything. I am working off of a Windows-based system. I cannot open numbers or pages files very easily on my desktop to review, but I can open a PDF, so that's great. So if anybody is working off of Apple, we do recommend that, and vice versa. I know a lot of folks are working on different operating systems, and I want you to be able to open these files. I know the files that we provide are in Excel. Just let us know so we can help work with you to get a file that works. As you are preparing things, just some things to note. The review panelists are required to review samples and materials, but they are not guaranteed to review work samples beyond a recommended number. You want to make sure that you're clearly naming and labeling things so panelists know what they're looking at. And you want to give reviewers the information they need to best understand the work or support materials. All right. Some general suggestions from our staff. Everything should be viewable or playable for work samples. If it doesn't work for you, it's not going to work for us. Recent high quality samples are great. Adding a lot more than the recommended number of work samples is sometimes going to weaken your application. So you really want to take some time to look at your materials to make sure you're getting the best impact and telling the story you want us to hear. All right, so let's do a breakdown of some of the documents. I'm going to take a quick refresh. So we are trying to get a bit of a financial picture of your organization. This is general support. So we're going to get a past, present, and future look at what you are up to. So the Form 990 for your most recently completed fiscal year, your current organizational budget, and for the future, this is the projects and programs section where you're going to tell us about some of your upcoming programs for the year. We will also want to see a balance sheet from your most recently completed fiscal year, a current organizational budget, and a profit and loss statement from your most recently completed fiscal quarter. We do have a District of Columbia funding source form. There is an updated form coming soon, and I'm going to go over what that includes in the next few slides. And then we're also going to need to see a certificate of liability insurance. This is your general coverage certificate of liability. Excuse me. All of these things, we'd like them to be current. On the insurance, we need a waiver of subrogation, and we need to include DC as a certificate holder. I'm going to go into detail on that in just a moment. So the District of Columbia funding source form, we have a new form coming, and I know Mauricio is in the chat ready to answer any questions because he's been working on it. But this helps give us a picture of what your funding is like from us and other district entities. This is just an informational form, but we do want to have a sense of where your funding is coming from. So on the form, we're going to ask you, what is your fiscal year that we're looking at? We want to know about your cash expenses, and then just a breakdown of any grants that you've received from us or from another DC agency. Maybe that's public schools, that might be Parks and Rec, but just the information. We just want the dollar amounts. A note on this and any other forms you receive from us: if you cannot fill in information in a box, you are not supposed to. We do lock some of our forms, and that is because they're doing the math for you, so you don't have to total anything up. If you can edit the box, you are supposed to edit that box. But if you do run into any problems, do reach out so we can help. Just a reminder, don't adjust any formulas. They've been carefully built. And then we would like a signature on this, as we would with most of our forms. On the certificate of liability insurance, we do not need your full policy. I do not need a 120-page document uploaded. What I need is your cover page, which looks like this. It should say Accord in the top left corner, and it's just a general coverage sheet. We do have an ask that we are covered under the description of operations and with a waiver of subrogation, and to name us as a certificate holder. If you need this language for your insurance provider, let us know. We are happy to send it out to you. We do this all the time, where we'll send you exactly the language we need covered on the form, and it's usually a pretty easy ask for them. They know what they're being asked to do. In addition to all of that, we want to know your current board of directors and the resumes of key personnel. Would like to know the roles and responsibilities for everyone. We're also going to need your 501c3 letter of determination from the IRS, your most recent Form 990. If you have the postcard, we may ask for additional financial documents. And then we need an updated W-9. As a reminder, we cannot allow for PO boxes as your primary address. It's also a good time to double check that your address is up to date in the grants portal and with our payment system. And we are using the March 2024 version of the W-9. Every year I still get one December 2020 form, or 2010 form. We're not using that one anymore. I do need the March 2024 version. And we do want most of these documents that require a signature to be signed with ink or with some kind of verifiable signature. If you have issues with anything, let us know. We can send you a signable form through Adobe. So this is what the March 2024 version looks like. It says so in the top left. Double check that your names match on everything. We need your EIN and then that signature. Save it as a PDF. In addition, we're going to need your clean hands and a statement of certification. Your clean hands, if you are applying to us for GOS, the vast majority of you have already gotten a clean hands from us because you've already gotten a grant from us. If you are applying to us for the very first time and you have any questions about it, the clean hands you get from the Office of Tax and Revenue at the MyTax DC website. There is a section for clean hands. If you are unable to get a certificate of clean hands by the deadline, or if you request it and it's coming back as non-compliant, that is okay. It is completely fine. Just let us know that there's something going on and we'll make sure that it's okay. It's okay if you can't do it, just once again. On the MyTax website, under clean hands, there are 3 options: request, validate, and learn more. If you are getting a clean hands for the very first time, you can request a certificate of clean hands. They're going to ask you some questions, then you'll get a clean hands form. If you already have the form, and most folks do, if we're talking about GOS, you're going to validate the certificate of clean hands. Your existing form has this thing in the top right-hand corner called the notice number. It starts with an L and is about 12 digits long. Using that and the last 4 digits of your EIN will get you a new certificate, and it's a much faster process and a much easier process. This is what we use during the year. Staff here needs to pull a clean hands a couple of times a year for compliance with some of our sister agencies. We pull it through the validation process. The statement of certification is a form that we use. It tells us who is allowed to negotiate for your award on your behalf, and a lot of times you are just self-certifying. So all we need here is a name, that this is a nonprofit, your address, and that this is the FY26 GOS award that you are applying for. The statement of certification is 4 pages long. We're going to fill out our name and address on the first page. Pages 2 and 3 are just information, and page 4 has a signature. Like everything else where we're asking for a signature, we are going to need an ink or digital signature. Typed in names or signature fonts do get rejected. And we do want this to match on what's on the W-9 and the grant application. Okay. I'm inserting a break because I've been talking for a long time. Any questions so far? Oh, there was a question here about the character limit for certain questions. So truth be told, we have a recommended word count for all of our questions. I think they're around 200, 300, or 400 words. The portal will not cut you off when you hit 400 words. So if it's something that has to be told in 405 words, that's okay. We do recommend for the narratives and things like that, think about how long you'd want to be reading if you were reviewing materials. Sometimes it's enough, but you should have uploaded documents is another place where you can add content. Any other questions while we're taking a break here?
I just want to add that a digital signature will have a stamp, usually with an Adobe or like a DocuSign logo. That's usually what we mean by a digital signature, not just necessarily a signature that you typed out. It's usually like verified by Adobe or DocuSign, just to be clear.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. Also, if you sign something with your finger on a phone, that's totally valid. 100%.
Right. And if you're on a Mac, Preview also has a feature. You can just use a mouse and sign. That also works.
We do a lot of this. All right. So as I go into work samples and other content, just a reminder, our panelists are advised to review only within the 4 corners of the application, so just the materials provided. Nobody is expected to click on outside links or content. So if you put in just a list of links, if go watch this, check out my website here, anything like that, it may not be seen by the reviewers. Most materials online, websites, articles, social media posts can be screenshot and attached. We really want to see the website only if it's a truly essential part of the project. If you have concerns about that or you want to talk about options, again, please reach out. We're happy to talk through this. Okay. So the required uploads for your narrative are going to be support materials. These are going to be up to 3 internally produced items like curriculum, strategic plans, marketing materials, and up to 3 externally produced items like reviews, commendations, letters of support, etc. The work sample addendum in the request for application has some more examples of materials and our limits. It's typically around 2 5-minute videos, 10 still images, or 10 to 20 written pages. The work samples and support materials are really dependent on the work that you do. They are going to be different for everyone. There is no right answer. for what you absolutely should include, but we do want to see a sample of your work, but a reasonable quantity. For media uploads, if you have video recordings, there are two ways that media uploads happen. There's a direct upload from something like a YouTube link or a Vimeo link. And then there's a two-step process upload. These are going to be for photos and for documents. So in the portal, in the media files, we've got uploading application attachments. If you have a direct link to YouTube or Vimeo, you can just drop that link into the box for that appropriate file. Otherwise, you're going to be uploading a PDF or a JPEG or something like that. We do recommend that you title your work under the description. Also, if you were uploading something that has a password protection or you want to give us a timestamp, that's a great place to put that information. So for example, you have a recording of your spring programming from last year, and it is an hour long and you don't want to edit it down to 5 minutes, totally great. Just tell us what 5 minutes we should be looking at. And we will guide the panelists to look for those 5 minutes. Here in this works samples and upload section, you do have an opportunity here to give us a brief intro to any work samples you have. This is also a good place to put timestamps and passwords or anything like that. If you do upload images, if you've got photos or PDFs, you're going to attach your media from the library. So you're going to upload it from, I'm going to go back one. You'll upload it to My Media library, and then you're going to attach it to the application here. You have to see it in the application for it to be fully attached. So you'll add things to the media library, click Attach Media from Library. It'll give you a pop-up window, and then you can attach from there. Just as a note for images, it will reorder according to the alphabetical order of the titles. So if the order that you view things in matters to you, just keep that in mind. And then, of course, we suggest you select or you check your uploads, make sure that everything is viewable in your application. You'll have that chance to check. We do recommend for video samples, if you're going to do a video recording of programming, highest quality video samples you can find. It does not need to be highly edited commercial or promotional videos. A good, clear recording is great. For video work samples that are longer than 5 minutes, we do ask. As a note for audio submissions, right now, start to finish, we don't have a good scrubbing or tracking system in there. So for audio files, we do recommend you either edit them down to exactly what you want the panelists to review, or upload the audio file into something like YouTube so that you can, with generic background of some kind, so that we can do a little bit more of that tracking. I'm gonna wait till okay. Screenshots and screen captures, there's a lot of options and materials that will do that. And we can help with that and guide you towards any applications full. But if you have any online content that we need to see.
Hey, Carrie, you froze previously.
Did I again?
Yes. So just go back to the last bullet point of the video conversation. Yeah. There you go. So just go explain that again.
Thank you. Yeah, if you do have a work sample that is longer than 5 minutes, we do suggest that you direct panelists to the section you want them to see. That's going to be the important part. Embedded time codes, or put that in the work statement. Did you get the part about the audio submissions, Mauricio?
Yeah, we heard that.
Okay, good, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And then screen captures, and good. Yeah, a lot of this is stuff I've gone over already. We do need a new statement of certification for each grant application. E-signature is available. We've gone over it, DocuSign, Adobe. I got an alert from Dropbox last week that they're doing e-signatures now. Your phone, with your finger, all of that works. If you need help with the certificate of insurance, let us know the language. And then if you have any issues with clean hands, again, let us know early so we can help you out. And please let us please send everything as a PDF. It's just easier. Questions. I saw a few come through on chat. Oop, let me go back. Oh, great. I got the last bullet points. I'm gonna keep moving through these last few slides and then we'll have a longer Q&A at the end. But here we go. We do have live chats every Friday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So if you have any questions and you just want to hop on, we are there. If you sign up for one of our live chats, you now have the link for all of the live chats. It is the same Zoom link for every Friday. Staff is there. We're ready to answer any questions you may have. And we are doing those until April 18th, so the Friday before the application closes. Additionally, we do have in-person chats with grant managers. If you feel like dropping by because you want to fill out paperwork while I watch and we make polite conversation, you can do that. Every Wednesday from 11 to 1, we just love having a little bit of warning that you're coming. We can have things prepared for you, but we do have in-person chat available. We always need grant panelists. This is my plug for this. Grant panelists, we give you a training, we give you assigned applications, and then we have a day-long virtual panel. It has rarely been a full day. But if you are interested in being a panelist, we are always recruiting. Or if you want to volunteer your friends to be panelists, that's a fun thing to do too. They need to get out of the house more or sit on a Zoom call. And then I'm going to leave this up for a bit. These are your staff contacts. Terrell Johnson, our senior grants officer, and myself, Carrie Kleba, reach out to us with any questions that you have. And I'm going to leave this up because now it is open question time for the rest of it because I got through almost everything. And I'm going to first answer, do you have to live in DC to be a panelist? No, you don't. We heavily recruit from Maryland and Virginia. They've been helpful. But yes, that is the majority of this workshop. I'm going to do open question time. Anything anybody needs to ask, I'm here. I'm here for that. Or you can go about your days and enjoy the rest of your Monday. Thank you. I'm going to actually.
And I think it goes without saying that if you decide to be a panelist, that you won't panel your own cohort of your own GOS application. That would be.
That is an excellent point, Mauricio. Yes, you would not self-panel.
You would not self-panel.
Or we might ask if you want to panel some of the other programs. If you want to take a look at eStarts or something. I'm going to stop the recording here, just so everybody knows.